Hey, what's going on, guys? So I'm going to treat this as a podcast style video, and you can listen, but it's going to help you best if you can pull this up on either your phone or your computer and go through the information that I'm going to be sharing with you. I had a really good comment on my second to last video asking what kind of conditions I look for if I'm planning to go offshore, which is, at most about 3 miles from me, in my 16-foot skiff. And I responded with, give me a few days to think this through and wrap my head around how I want to answer that question. So this video is going to be about that. I'm going to screen record my laptop, and if you would like to follow along, I'll sync the two together. So first off, let me get the screen record going. But I'm going to jump over to Google Earth. I want to talk about Google Earth first. So if you would like to follow along with me, pull up Google Earth now. I have North Carolina pulled up. I'm from North Carolina. I've fished in North Carolina all my life. And what's interesting about North Carolina is you can reference different parts of the state to talk about different wind direction. So I'm from Columbia, North Carolina, up towards the Outer Banks. So let's talk about that, the way that beach faces. So I'm using my mouse as the cursor. So if we look at Roanoke Island, right, so everything north of Mania has a beach that faces towards the northeast. So you're standing on the sand, you're looking northeast. Now, in order for conditions to be right there, you want the wind coming across your back. Now, what's interesting with explaining wind is it's where it's coming from. That's how you describe it. So if you have a northeast facing beach, you want wind coming from the opposite direction, which would be southwest. So southwest would be straight over the shoreline. Now, if you're planning on surf fishing and you have a southwest wind, it's going to be fairly calm. But if you're trying to fish the Albemarle Sound on the northern side, it's going to be blowing straight in your face and be really rough. So that's something to consider when fishing the opposite ends of the beach versus the sound right here. Now we're going to jump down towards, we'll just say off of Hatteras. So I know you've heard reference of the point if you're from North Carolina. And what's interesting about the point is at any given day you can fish different sides of the point for different winds. And that's why Hatteras is a great place for commercial fishermen, because they can duck the wind on most days. So if we're north of the point, we have a straight east-facing beach. So anything straight west is going to cause glassy conditions out here. Say you wanted to fish the southern part of the point, anything blowing from the north is going to be glassy conditions here. So anywhere from like northwest to northeast is going to be pretty glassy on this shoreline right here. And you can treat, Harker's Island the same way. Harker's Island has a very similar shape to the Hatteras Point here, so you would treat the northern side versus the southern side with the same conditions here. Now, if you're trying to fish the Pamlico Sound, that's when you're going to have different variations of wind for different conditions. But the good thing about fishing these tributaries of the Pamlico Sound is you can duck wind. In most cases, you can fish somewhere where it's going to be out of the wind. Now let's jump down to Wilmington area, which is where I currently live. It's basically a southeast facing beach. So we're looking towards the southeast. Okay, this would be directly east straight off. And then this would be directly south. So it's naturally facing southeast. So we're looking for anything blowing. Really anything westerly is going to be a good fishing condition for anywhere from the point down below Wilmington all the way up to Topsail area is going to be a similar beach condition. Now, what I refer to 10 miles per hour, that's my cap point. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm gonna look at, the first thing I'm gonna look at is weather.com or something. So if I go to Wilmington's weather.com, let's just look at a 10-day forecast and talk about conditions for those 10 days. So Friday, I've got northwest at 14 miles per hour. Northwest 10 to 20 miles per hour. That's most cases that's not going to work for me. And my boat, yes, I could. So when I think of northwest, let's jump back over to Google Earth on that one. So northwest, if I'm fishing Wilmington, that means it's blowing north from the northwest. So it's going to be pretty offshore. But the problem is, when you're talking about getting out here 3 miles plus, you're going to have time for that wave action to develop between the beach and that 3 mile mark. So anything over 10 miles per hour is a no-go for me. But I can get out, if I wanted to just troll the beach and not worry so much about wave action, it would probably be a good day to stay close to the shoreline within a mile and it not be too choppy for my boat. Yeah, we are basing this on if it's a perfect condition day, which is rare in North Carolina. So let's jump back over to, I got to add here. Let me knock that out. So let's look at tomorrow. Let's see what tomorrow looks like. Tomorrow, west-northwest, 11 miles per hour. This is 10 to 15. That's a lot better conditions because we have more westerly in that west-northwest. So if we jump back to our map here, it's going to be west-northwest is going to be like blowing from here. That's pretty much going to be straight offshore. That's prime conditions for me when I think about wind direction in my little skiff. Again, if you're planning to go out really far, anything more than like a mile is going to get to be pretty choppy if it's blowing 10 to 15. I'm trying to find a good day for you. Southwest at 16. You could fish the beach, similar conditions with the northwest. If you get off at all, it's going to be choppy. Monday, west at 14. West at 14, that's pretty much directly offshore. That would be a good day if you stay close to the shoreline. But the trend here is I'm seeing over 10 miles per hour, which is going to be something I can't go out in my boat. I could go, but it would get dangerous. So if you want to fish that condition, stay tight to the shoreline and you can get out. All right, guys, I'm going to jump back over to weather.com and talk about another thing that I look for. Okay, so say we've found a day that looks like it could be decent conditions. Now we're going to look at our windows, what I consider windows. Actually, tomorrow is a day that I've been considering fishing, and I'm going to go in and look at the specific hourly timeline of when I would be getting out in the water. For example, I like to be out there at daybreak, so I'm going to be hitting the Intracoastal around 5 a.m. So I'm over at weather.com. I'm looking at 5 a.m. conditions. So at 5 a.m. it's supposed to be blowing east at 2. Well, we just talked about the way that the shoreline faces east at 2 would be blowing directly into the beach. If it's blowing less than 7 miles per hour straight onto the beach, that's going to be pretty calm for me. So east at 2 looks really good to me. So now let's look at 6 a.m. 6 a.m. is east at 3, 7 a.m. northeast at 4. So that tells me that we're going to see a shift. And then at 9 a.m. it's west-northwest at 8 miles per hour, 10 west at 8, 11 west-southwest. So it looks like it's going to be a day where the wind swirls. That's usually pretty good for me and with my boat, because there's going to be that period of that wind switching where I can actually be fishing. And I'm usually in by 10, 11 o'clock anyways. So honestly, tomorrow's looking like a really good day for me and probably a day that I'm going to go fish. The next step would be for me to take this information and apply it to other apps. And I've already been talking for about 10 minutes, so I'll do a part 2 on what I look to cross-reference. And of course, something to take into consideration is these are forecasts. They don't mean anything other than this is what we think is going to happen. So it's important for you to get up the morning of and look at the conditions, check your radar. Weather.com has a really good radar. I'll jump over to that now. And look at projected timelines for any weather activity in your area. And of course, you don't want to get caught out in storms. I'm having issues with loading up this website. The apps work better for me. If you have it on your phone, you're a lot better off. But look at the wind condition the morning of. Look at your weather forecast and then cross-references. And I'll jump over and cross-reference this information with other apps that I'll talk about in my next video. If you guys like this type of content, I'd love for you to subscribe. The channel's been growing pretty efficiently, and we're almost to 750 subscribers, which is my next planned giveaway. I'm excited about the growth, and I want to continue to make this type of content for you guys, because if you're anything like me, you may not have a lot of people that are helping you get better at this. So I do enjoy the teaching aspect of it, and I'll continue to make this style video if I get good interactive feedback. Drop some comments below with any questions that I can address in the next video. And of course, I'll try to help you guys the best I can. I appreciate your time. Stay tuned.